But again, we have to talk, like, how did we get there? And I think the best place to start is with game 4, because I had been talking with you, and I've been talking to many people about like the difference with this team and the John Gibbons 2015 team was like, Gibbons was such an amazing manager for that moment, for that team, as far as being just a raw baseball manager. But the emotion aspect wasn't there. The emotion aspect always came from the players, and it was always like his moves were always like the type of thing that would kill the emotion, like not going with the hot hand because he'd have to face a bad matchup or something like that. And Schneider, for better or worse, he is a pure vibes based manager, as you said when we were trying to record this the first time, right?
I would say he's vibes based in a demonstrative way, in a like wants to show that. And we're getting to it, of course, is the Scherzer Mound saga, which I did not conceive of as being like, to a degree, maybe pre-planned or contrived, or that he was like setting this up, until you mentioned it. And I was like, of course, this is so brilliant. I was watching it at a bar with my girlfriend, who is uninterested in any sports unless it's kind of interesting and compelling. And I was just thinking at the time, like, you could show someone from a different culture who doesn't speak English and is unaware of baseball the like Scherzer Mound interaction, and they would pick up what was going on. It's a very universal, intuitive, and like cinematic, certainly, moment. And it's 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 the micro, the picture of that vibes based attitude.
Oh yeah, it was purely like right out of something out of Bull Durham. It's interesting because the night before, I listened to Talkin' Baseball, a great podcast hosted by Trevor Plouffe, who is an old first base. I don't even know what position he played, but an old ball player. And as a joke, he was saying, like, I want to see Schneider go out there and Scherzer just be like, you're not taking me off the mound. Like, I'm not coming off. Because there was a classic, I don't know if it was in the playoffs, but there was a Yankee player like in the 90s who yelled at Joe Torre when he was pitching, like, I think a perfect game. I can't remember exactly, but there's a classic clip where Torre got up onto the field and he was like, no, get back. And like, that's what he was referencing, was Scherzer, like, just being like, and when it happened, I could feel the anticipation based on what, a former ball player said, because of the type of guy that Scherzer is. He's a nut. And so, like, I do truly believe that Schneider knew that's how he was going to react. And then this is the thing. The reason that you would do that, and that this is what makes Schneider so good. And if you're paying attention to these little micro segments, like, you know what I mean? If you only tuned into game 5, you would be like, no, he's terrible. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. But baseball is played on the field. It's played by humans. It's not played on a sheet, right? And what he does and what he's a master of is he says it, like, they trust every guy on that roster. And so they put people in positions to succeed, even when the matchup doesn't like lean in their favor, because what that does, it's unquantifiable. It's something that you can't measure with analytics, because you just kill the momentum of the other team by putting a guy who isn't the best matchup and then having them succeed over your best hitters, or at least over the part of the lineup that they're comfortable with them facing. And sometimes it works like that, like in game 4, and sometimes it doesn't. But I feel like, and here we are in a 7-game series. If you're willing to do that and you have the bats to back it up, you can, you know what I mean? You can do it. And that's what I was saying. Like, Schneider probably maybe manages that 2015 team to better results, just because of his willingness to like go to his best guys rather than just leaning on the numbers over and over again.
Which, in a sport like baseball, where there's little to no physical contact and it's all like an energy that is exerted on a ball and a bat, kind of appropriate. I don't know. Like, the mojo thing is perhaps, obviously mojo permeates all sports, but it's especially what we're talking about with going into a match against a $1 trillion evil empire team with the greatest ball player, arguably athlete of all time, arguably whatever the modern era, you're going to want to lean on those vibes and you're going to want to nurture that mojo in any way you can.
Yeah. And like, again, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but you don't get any bigger stage than this. So it's like the people who are like, when you're willing to let guys be ball players rather than just be a number on a sheet, right? And Game 5 is a perfect example of why, like, if you just watched that game and that was the only game you watched all season, you'd be like, this guy's a fucking idiot. He needs to go, which people were saying. But he puts in Brendan Little and they give up the game. And the thing that he says after the fact is just like, we believe in our guys and we believe in every guy that we have. And we wanted to turn their lineup.
I'm pretty sure that they were trying to force a Rosarena and Raleigh, who are both, both sides of the plate hitters, to have to hit from the other side of the plate, which is silly because Raleigh is actually a better average batter on the other side of the plate than the side that they were batting to him on originally.
Like this is a great way to tie it back to the Blue Jays. Like in Game 5, right, when Brian Wu hit George Springer with a slider that got away from him and hit him in the knee at like 94 miles an hour, and they showed it on the broadcast like with full sound, and it sounded like he hit the bat with the ball. That's how brutal it sounded.
And getting caught with a pitch in your knee or elbow sounds like one of the most painful, non-debilitating sports injuries you can have, I would say. Just imagining that feeling, like that concentrated force on your funny bone, essentially. That's fucking rough.
Yeah, exactly. And like, the Springer was not hurt, right? Like there's no way that you can ever in a million years fake that, like, or that you could, even if it didn't get you the way that everybody thought it got you, it's still going to hurt. And like 8 out of 10 people are never going to be able to deal with that level of pain, right?
No, but like, let alone perform, let alone like maintain consciousness in that level of like physical pain. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then after the game, after that happened, the Mariners fans are just booing George Springer. And for people who don't know, the reason that they do that is because George Springer was a part of the most notorious cheating scandal in Major League Baseball history with the 2017 Houston Astros, who he was a part of. And that team won the World Series. The Seattle Mariners are a part of the AL West. They have been, the victim of that probably more than anybody because of how long they've lost in the division that Houston won while cheating. As a general sports fan, I don't mind them booing George Springer.
Oh, I have said this. I like cheating in sports with the exception of the New Orleans Saints bounty gate, because I'm sure many teams were putting bounties out. It's scumbag shit. Someone had to get scapegoated, whatever you want to call it. We don't encourage bounty hunting. However, I've always said I hated the Patriots, but Deflategate, stealing signals, whatever the fuck, everyone who's doing it best is the question, like not whether they're doing it. And the one thing I will just say that I love is the analog nature of the Houston Astros cheating, the banging of garbage can lids or whatever the fuck it was. I'm like, I love that. Keep it simple.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to be able to see the game differently. And I'm not moralizing the Houston Astros. Like, baseball is a cheater sport. Like, it's that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not cheating,
the best one.
Yeah, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. But with that said, I don't mind the Mariners hating George Springer. You know what I mean? I think that's just like, it's a part of sports. Like, and you have to own it. And he pretty much did. I believe that Springer probably got sick of being booed and hated on everywhere he went, and I'm going to go to Canada where they don't care about baseball as much. So
yeah,
like getting threatened. You know what I mean?
The other thing that I'll say he's gained here is everybody from the ladies to the gays and the theys and the ostensibly straight men in Toronto are screaming jeans for George Springer. First, most of the time when Jays come up, before like this current, World Series, how hot he was the first thing that was coming up on most people's lips.
Well, I mean, I think this is a testament to this team entirely. Is a part of why they probably are winning and why that 2015 team didn't. Is like this is absolutely the most homoerotic Blue Jays team in the history of this sport.
Yeah,
Like
they got something for everyone.
Yeah, it was Ernie and Addison Barger and George. It's just absurd. But
Like short, thick kings, we got a tuna can for you. A can of Mexican tuna.
Oh my God. Okay, so to the moralizing thing, because this fits perfectly, because when the Jays lost Game 5, and then Schneider was asked about, what the fuck were you thinking? He brought up Mariners fans when they're booing George Springer. He literally said his exact words are, "They ought to look in the mirror." And I was driving.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, you fucking like, but that's the thing, is he said that because he wanted to take, like, you know what I mean? He wanted to make it about that rather than making it about, you know what I mean? Making it about the stupid decision that he made to try to, use Little to put his throat on their neck. And by then making it about Springer, right? And saying like, oh, Mariners fans have some class. I felt that was very ironic because, first of all, no one should tell Toronto fans of any sport to have class, because like when we get to the pinnacle, we are rabid lunatics. Like, I will say I was at Game 5 of the NBA Finals when Kevin Durant blew his Achilles, and I cheered insanely. You know what I mean?
Oh wow, I didn't remember that. That's awesome, because one of the great asshole fan moments is when the Eagles, the Cowboys were playing in Philadelphia, and Michael Irvin, I mean, it seemed like he severed his spinal cord or something. He was like carted off the field with a neck brace on the stretcher, and Philly lit up, let me tell you. So I'm glad to hear another instance of that.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, well, it's not a good thing, but like my approach is like, yes, that's how people act. This is all insane. We're all acting rational. To then approach this like a moral thing is just as insane as you're saying, like they're acting. You know what I mean? Because like,
absolutely,
this is crazy. We're reenacting when we usused to sacrifice bodies in the Coliseum and stuff, right? Like,
absolutely,
this is as civil as we get. Yeah, and it goes back to kayfabe, right? And this Blue Jays team, like a part of why I believe that this team is so good. They're operating with an element of theatrics that they're literally like wielding on their side. Like they've like weaponized the intangibles in a way that like other teams, like hockey teams and football teams do, but baseball never does, because it's like not that kind of sport. But they've almost like quantified the way to be able to do that. And you saw that in Game 6. Like in Game 6, they were able to put out their rookie pitcher on the mound who pitched incredibly and stretched him out a little bit further than they needed to. And then again, they went to Hoffman at the end of the game. And then when you thought that they were going to go to somebody else, they went to Hoffman again, because it was that foot on your throat thing. And these two things that we were just talking about, I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been spending a decent amount of time by myself, just like thinking about nothing but baseball. But like those two storylines, Springer getting hit and Schneider's stupid decisions and the foot on your neck approach, is exactly what led to them winning Game 7. Because when the Jays were down and the Mariners had the chance, that's what they did, because Bizzardo was not the right call. And they saw Springer coming up and they were like, Springer's hurt. He can't turn in a fastball. Let's get him inside, because they were pitching to him inside every single at bat since he got hurt. And so in any other situation, in any other baseball game in the history of the season, you would never, ever do that. And they literally fucking Jedi mind tricked them, Sam. Like, you know what I mean? Because of Schneider being willing to fuck up and then be like by doing the foot on your throat thing, and then them thinking that George was more hurt than he was. And that's how he got the pitch they wanted. Like, that's how they got the pitch they wanted. And that's how they got the manager to make a stupid decision in the same vein that Schneider was doing. And again, I don't think that they do that had those things not happened. Like, they definitely don't pitch to Springer in that situation if he didn't get hurt. And I think just like the juju of the mind games with the pitchers, like the Mariners manager Wilson, he wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to do I'm going to put my foot on your throat and end this. And it fired, because you can't do that in a 7-game series, you know, like you can't do it in game 7, at least. I don't know. No. Just crazy to me.
And I mean, to liken it to a pop culture point that an increasingly few number of people would know is the end of the Simpsons episode of baseball where Burns pulls Darryl Strawberry to pinch hit Homer. Homer takes it off the head, and of course the power plant wins.
Oh my God, I never even thought of that. Why does he do it? Why does he pull Strawberry?
I think because the pitcher's left-handed or right-handed.
Oh yes, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so there's an element of that too. And I mean, Mr. Burns just fails his way. And what Mr. Burns' words are to Darryl Strawberry is, it's what smart managers do to win ball games.
Wait, you, Strawberry. Good effort today. Take a lap and hit the showers. I'm putting in a right-handed batter to hit for you.
What? You're pitch hitting for me?
Yes. You see, you're a left-hander, and so is the pitcher. If I send up a right-handed batter, it's called playing the percentages. It's what smart managers do to win ball games.
I was thinking about that a lot this week, actually.
Sam, you know what's funny, too, is that Don Mattingly is on this baseball team.
I just saw that.
Mattingly! I thought I told you to trim those sideburns. Go home. You're off the team for good.
Yeah, that's it. When I saw him in the clubhouse after the ALCS win, I was like, I thought I told you to shave those sideburns, Mattingly.
He's not taking any chances. And I didn't realize, was he with the Jays in 2015?
No, he just got here. He came in with I think the guy's name is David Popkins, who is the hitting coach, who is kind of just transformed the Blue Jays.
Gotcha.
And what's crazy, guess where they came from? The LA Dodgers.
Oh.
Yeah, like Mattingly coached the Dodgers for years. I don't know where he went after, because he was the manager for the Dodgers for a while before. I'm pretty sure he was the last manager before David Roberts, who's the current manager. So it's so funny that you say that about the baseball episode. That is so
Which
funny.
Is my favorite episode of The Simpsons of all time. Without, other ones I could hum and haw about 1A and 1B, but that is bar none my favorite episode.
Oh my God. And then is there anybody else that's connected to this that would be in there? I don't think there is.
Think so. I don't know. No. I mean, I'd have to run through the song, but I don't believe so, unfortunately.
So it's just absurd, but in the grand scheme of things, if we're looking at it through the perspective of a 7-game series, do they win this if they don't do that? If they don't make these mistakes?
And like, I can talk about that even more, because when we get to game 6, right? Game 6,